Be Wealthy and Smart, episode 1083.
Step into a world of wealth and financial freedom without budgets, boredom, or bosses on Be Wealthy and Smart. And now, here's your host, Linda P. Jones.
Welcome to Be Wealthy and Smart. I'm Linda P. Jones, America's Wealth Mentor, empowering women and men worldwide to financial freedom. On today's show, we're going to talk about why 40% of people say their finances are worse than pre-pandemic. Now, this is not good news, obviously. People feeling like they don't have enough savings, their credit is drying up, they're living paycheck to paycheck. Some people have been laid off, other people's businesses have been really devastated. There's a lot of different ways that people have been impacted. And this article is talking about a survey where people are saying that they definitely are feeling worse off, that they haven't been able to save as much money, that they've lost confidence in their personal financial health. 59% said the current U.S. economy has made them feel less confident about their personal finances, and 29% say they feel much less confident. Then there's confusion around inflation, and many are taking action to combat the impact of inflation on their finances, with 80% having taken action in the past 6 months in response to inflation. And close to half, or 47%, have done things like driving less, and 39% have done things like buy more store brands and unprocessed staples. 71% of Americans think we're currently in a recession. So of course, this is going to impact our thinking, our actions. And today what we want to talk about is what has happened to a lot of people and some strategies that can help move you forward. So some ways that people feel their finances have worsened is that they don't feel they can afford the things they once could. That's 54%. Also, their debt has increased. That's 39%. They've stopped saving. That's 37%. And 32% say they have less in emergency savings now than they did before the pandemic. About 35% say they've had to use emergency savings to pay for necessities, while the income has decreased for about 33% of people. And 26% have used up all of their emergency savings. For many, rent and mortgage has increased, about 25%. Retirement contributions have decreased, about 24%. Debt has become unmanageable, 19%. Investments that you hope to sell have lost value, 19%. Lost a job or steady income, 17%. And in some other way, they feel worse off than pre-pandemic, 11%. So we've had basically the worst of all things happen at once. We had the stock market go down, we had crypto markets go down, we had expenses go up with inflation, we had rent increases, we had supply chain disruptions which caused other prices to go up, energy costs went up, food costs went up. I mean, it's been the worst of all situations all at once. And usually when you're hit with rising prices and lower asset values, the thing you're looking at is how can you reduce some expenses. So when we look at how people have cut costs, people have driven less. About 47% are actually using their car less if they can. Or they've bought more store brands and unprocessed staples, as I mentioned, 39%. They've stopped buying or bought fewer foods with high inflation, 35%. They've begun shopping at larger discount stores versus small or locally owned retailers, 34%. They've begun working more, taking on extra jobs, 18%. They've sold some investments or crypto, 15%. They've reduced contributions to their retirement account, 12%. They've made a large purchase to get ahead of rising prices, 12%. They've changed an existing insurance policy for the one that's less expensive but has less robust coverage, 11%. And other, 4%. Now, I'm not really sure what's in the other, but it's kind of a catch-all for anything else, of course. And additionally, 20% of Americans say they haven't done any specific actions in response to inflation over the past 6 months. Now, part of the financial stress is about expenses that are in the future that are coming. It could be paying the IRS or bigger expenses that are coming down the road. And so there are concerns about being able to cover those expenses over the next 12 months. And how they responded there, as far as being able to make loan payments, 36% were very concerned as far as affording groceries and other basic necessities. 31% were concerned. Paying utility bills. A lot of people's energy costs have really skyrocketed. 29% were concerned about that. Making monthly rent and mortgage payments, 23% have concern about that. Paying medical bills, 20% are concerned. Paying auto insurance premiums, 18%. Paying health insurance premiums, 15%. And paying child care expenses, 7% are concerned about how to cover those costs. And then when you look at what are the plans for big money moves over the next 12 months, 2 in 5 Americans, or 44%, plan to pay off debt, and close to 3 in 10, or 28%, plan to save more for retirement. Another 25% plan to invest in the stock market or crypto. There are 17% planning to buy a home or investment property. 13% want to make a large purchase other than a home. 9% want to increase or buy a life insurance policy, and 4% are in the other category. So what are some of the things that you can do with all this uneasiness, fear, and uncertainty that's really causing financial stress? Well, one thing you can do is focus on what you can control, because we can't control what prices are going to do. We can't control what the economy is going to do, but you can make some plans to try to have a larger emergency savings fund or try to cash in some assets so you have more cash on hand. You definitely want to have cash in your possession, because with all the disruption and shortages and craziness that we've been going through, it's going to be less stressful if you can have some cash right in your possession, preferably in a safe at home. Now, you've probably already looked at all your expenses and decreased or cut out whatever you can. We've talked about that, looking at subscriptions and things that you don't really need. And we've also talked about how to save money when shopping and purchasing food. But you want to look at your budget and see if there's any other expenses that could be cut out, either permanently or temporarily. And see if there is something that could provide an extra source of income, whether that's a side hustle, a temporary job, or whatever that might be, depending on your skill set. But the one thing that I think is most important and most overlooked is your mindset. And what are you focusing on? Are you focusing on the fear? Are you focusing on the negativity? Or are you focusing on positive things, the things that you have been able to control, the things that you have managed well, the differences and the money that you have saved? And are you thinking about the things you're grateful for? Because oftentimes I find when I'm in fear, it's not allowing me to really think through a problem. It's really shutting down my creativity and my thoughts and ways to be able to solve problems. And the best thing I can do to get out of fear is to go into gratitude. And to get into gratitude, you just want to think about all the things that you're grateful for. Just start listing each one: your family, your friends, your home, your dog, your car, whatever it is, just listing all the things that you're grateful for. And that will move you into more of a gratitude state of mind. Once you're in a gratitude state of mind, you can see possibilities, and you can see that probably the worst that you're worried about isn't going to happen, because about 80% of our fears never come true. So we spend a lot of time worrying about them. We spend sleepless nights. There's tossing and turning. But the reality is the worst typically doesn't happen to us. And that's why staying focused on gratitude can be so much more powerful for you and empowering for you. You really want to try to make good long-term decisions. But sometimes that's hard to think long-term when you're focused on the very short term. But if you can do things like continue to contribute to your 401k, even if you have to reduce it a little bit, but continue to contribute something, that's good long-term planning. Of course, if things are so tight that you can't pay the bills as it is, then you're going to have to discontinue your 401k contributions. So you have to make that call based on your decision. and based on your income and your circumstances. But if there's any way to continue to do it, you'll win big long term if you can continue to make those contributions during this time. Another thing that's really empowering to do is, if you're feeling fearful, to write it down and get it out of your mind. Sometimes trying to hold everything in your mind and thinking about it in your head is not the best way to deal with it. It's better to put it down on paper so you can actually look at it and think about it and see if you're being logical or if you're being completely fearful and illogical. It's also a good way to just get that burden out and get it put on paper, and also to write down some of the strategies that you might be able to use to help your situation. So whatever ideas come into your mind that could help you, write those down too, and then you can rank them in order and see which ones are the most helpful and which ones are the easiest for you to do and which ones you can implement right away. A lot of people ask me for a reference. What can they read, or what can they study? Where can they learn something? Because they don't feel that they've had the financial education. And in that case, I would refer you to my first book, You're Already a Wealth Heiress, Now Think and Act Like One, 6 Practical Steps to Make It a Reality Now. For under $10, you can get the book home, study it, or listen to the audiobook. It gives you your millionaire action plan and tells you no matter what you're struggling with financially, it gives you steps and solutions for what you can do. So if you're looking for a resource, I would definitely recommend that. You can find it on Amazon.com, and there is a link to it in the show notes. That will take you all the way from mindset to saving, to investing, to repairing credit, to planning for the future. So if you're looking for that kind of instruction, I highly recommend it. And men love it too. But no matter what you're feeling emotionally, mentally, we are going to get through this. That's all for today. Until next time, live the good life and be wealthy and smart.
Thank you for listening to Be Wealthy and Smart with Linda P. Jones. Share the wealth and tell your family and friends about the show. Check out our website, blog, and social media for more riches at www.bewealthyandsmart.com.